in the Country of Hearts, Wonderful Wonder World, which is based off the anime movie, which is based off the visual novel, was first published in 2008 by writer Quinn Rose and illustrator Saume Hoshino. The series ended on September 15th of 2010 and left other side series manga in its wake. So for the some of you who kinda don't have a clue what visual novels are basically a subgenre to video games. Some visual novels could be action-based, but there's another genre called otome. And that means they're games that are mostly aimed towards girls, but boys can play them too. But the reason why they're more aimed towards girls is because they're mostly romantic based, and they're the ones that a girl arrives in this new place, or gets a job, and she's surrounded by these all handsome men, and the end of the story is basically she gets with one of the guys that she's in a harem with, basically. Like I said, some of them are more action-based, but visual novels are more dialogue-based than they are action-based. So, an action visual novel does exist, but the majority are otome romance-based because those involve more dialogue and more choices to make rather than just playing mini-games or involving fight scenes just so we can move on to the next thing. Now, with this one that I'm going to mention, the Alice in the Country of Hearts, of course this is based off the otome game, which of course involves a harem of things. But when it comes to visual novels being adapted into anime or manga, most of the time, or some of the time, it doesn't work. And this review is going to explain why, and maybe we'll see if this adaptation to the visual novel game actually works or not. Let's go check it out, shall we? Based off the Alice in Wonderland tales by Lewis Carroll, Alice Liddell is your average teenage girl who loves reading and her older sister. One day, while taking a nap in her garden, she's kidnapped by a strange man with white rabbit ears called Peter White. She's taken to a mysterious kingdom far from home and is forced to stay in that world when he forces a potion down her throat. She is told by a clock repairman, Julius, that the only way to return home is if she confronts the people of this kingdom and form relationships with them in order to refill the veil she was forced to drink. Okay, for something that should be cliché, I was actually intrigued when I picked up the first volume. You have a girl who gets kidnapped and sucked into this magical world that she has no idea how to navigate. Like, no clue. And the only way she could escape is that she's forced to get these people of this magical world who hate her at first, well, except for one who's a stalker, to actually like her so she can have the power to return to her world. Of course, we're gonna get the, oh, she tricked us plot in a harem, but did she want to do that? No, she had to manipulate these people to get what she wanted, and she's not being mean about it, it's just that she had to have the means in order to complete her journey. And on the other hand, the 5 volumes of this manga do give us highlights to see what each of the characters are like, either by themselves or interacting with other people. So I was pretty much fine with that. I mean, it's a cliche harem, so I wasn't, like, too picky about it, but I was more indifferent to the story rather than I was, oh my god, why am I reading this? Overall, I think the plot was actually more reliable to me than any of the other harems I have read so or heard about on the internet. Since this is a harem, of course, characters are going to be based on tropes. First, you have your cool, violent type. Then there's the notice me senpai, maybe yandere type. You also get two childish characters who are way too young for the main protagonist. You get your always obedient to his master but lovely loyal to the love interest. Then there's Hans. And you also have a lesbian, because why not Japan? But then you have that one character with a sort of tragic hobby because he feels useless that you really want Alice to go after because he loves what she has done for him but at the same time wants Alice to go home? Did I mention that he's part Neko? In the end, I don't hate these characters, but it's just that in this day and age of anime, we've seen these harem-type tropes so many times that it's not original anymore. It's like we can literally pinpoint what type of characters these are going to be before the show even goes to its midpoint, or a series goes to its midpoint. Like, how do you think the terms tsundere, kudere, yandere, or all those other stereotypes, like, where do you think those came from? Because they appeared again and again and again to actually give them names. Like, don't believe me? Just go look them up. Like, there's a plethora of series, whether it's manga, anime, whatever. You'll see a giant list of where these characters fit under which title. However, the characters I actually do like are Alice and Julius. I already kind of explained Alice in the past section, but she actually has morals that we can believe in as a harem lead. Other main protagonists of this type would usually have little to no personality on the harem followers he or she interacts with, besides the ones I'm showing you right this minute. So if we're gonna go into perspective on how visual novels work, it's that rule 1, the main character doesn't really have personality because the personality of the character is the players, or viewers, or whatever the official name of it is. So all of your personality traits and all the decisions you want to make go into the main characters in order to progress the plot. So, technically speaking, you can say they don't have personalities, but at the same time they do because you are their personality. However, when it comes to adapting it into a manga or an anime, having a character with the personality that's supposed to be your personality, but the story's already doing that for you, that's why visual novel main characters or harem leads don't work. Because if you give a character a completely blank slate and they just don't know what to do, then how are we supposed to root for that character, and how on earth are we supposed to get them or support them in choosing a person they want or completing their quest? It just doesn't make any sense. And why there's so many visual novel adapted into anime out there that completely have no idea how a visual novel works or how to develop a character with no personality, we see why these types of series fail outside being a visual novel. The visual novel game might be fantastic because your supporting characters have personality. They are these different types because you can get to choose whatever you want. But when it comes to a manga or an anime, you don't have that decision. The show does it for itself, and it angers people because most likely in the end, not to give a really bad spoiler warning, but I think it is, usually at the end of these types of shows or manga, the main lead doesn't get with any of them because in the end of the visual novel, she or he usually ends up with somebody. It's so formulaic that main characters with no personality, of course they don't end up with anybody because they don't have the personality to choose who they want. So for Alice in this case, I was really nervous. Alice is different because you know she doesn't want to be in Wonderland and her main mission is to get out. She doesn't want men falling at her feet, especially since she was kidnapped by a Notice Me Senpai character. But she doesn't have a choice, so she'll do anything or whatever she can to abide by the game's rules. Julius almost works the same way. He's the one who takes Alice under his wing to make sure she doesn't get hurt. He knows that once Alice gets severely injured, she can never go home or see daylight again. He hates how the society is, and even though he cannot escape it, he doesn't want Alice to suffer the same fate. He's Alice's second father, and he doesn't exactly count as being a part of Alice's harem since he's not exactly a love interest. These two characters are the most developed because they have their own motives that are not supported by true love. Out of all the Bishi boys, Alice has to gain trust too. My favorite is, if you haven't guessed already, is Boris, aka the Cheshire Cat. Like I said before, Boris wants Alice to go home. And even though Alice is the one fixing his injuries most of the time, he does defend her from those who want to kill her or even do more emotionally scarring damage. His feelings for Alice are the most believable, while the other boys suddenly fall for her for no reason. Yeah, even Peter White, aka the White Rabbit, claims to have loved Alice the longest. I compare him to the Phantom of the Opera. It's an obsession, which is why Peter has to learn to let Alice go. Overall, the characters could have been worse, but for a story inspired by a visual novel, you couldn't expect anything different. Originally, I was going to make this section super short because usually for harem, shoujo, manga, or anime, it's just your stereotypical shoujo style, like there was nothing really special about it. This manga's not the case. It's a retelling of the original Alice in Wonderland, of course with romantic elements, but it portrays the dark side of Alice in Wonderland. Like, no, I'm not talking about the Disney version where it's like comedy dark or like psychedelic comedy dark. No, this is like, it gets pure dark at times. Like, there are literally bloody scenes in this shoujo manga, and I was pretty surprised that the artist decided to do that. Like, it's not like too gory, but it definitely sends chills up your spine. However, when it comes to like distinct locations, because this is Wonderland, of course, so it's going to have different locations into it. But with the locations, they're distinct enough where you can tell which area either belongs to whom or what the personality of the people or the personalities of the people living there are, or maybe it might be fun on the outside, but when you go inside it, it might as well like lead you to your doom or something. Like this series, just like Wonderland itself, you have no idea what you're going to expect. But by the locations, it should be good enough. However, when it comes to the design of the characters, I think they're your typical shoujo drawn characters. But I think like how they designed each character of Wonderland, I think they were done really well. Like, for all of them being human and all, even though some of them are supposed to be, you know, animals. But honestly, I think they were done to the point that there's nothing like displeasing to look at them. Like, I don't think they're terrible or that generic. I just think they're nicely done and they do match the style of Wonderland itself. Overall, I'd give this series a very fair 7 out of 10. Like, It's nothing really special, it's just another visual novel adapted into a manga slash anime sort of thing. But I didn't hate it. I found myself enjoying it pretty well. This harem is different because it just, like, at least it's not a harem that's created because of very, very cliche fan service. It actually does have a story to it, and it does hold you to the drama that does happen in the series. I'd only recommend this series if you're not minding to harems, or if you like watching different types of harems, because if you're not into that sort of thing, I don't think you're gonna hate it, you're just gonna find yourself very, very bored. Because like I said, there's not too much fan service, or like overbearing fan service, if you know what I'm saying. There is a sequel to this series, but it's literally this manga all over again. Plus, there are also side series that follow Alice with the Bishi you want her to end up with. Whether you're interested in the long route or not, if you're looking for a good harem that actually means something, even not by much, Alice in the Country of Hearts is a nice 5 volumes of semi-Alice in Wonderland smut. So guys, thank you for watching. If you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave the like button some love. Also, if you have some manga suggestions of what I should review, put that in the comment section below if you'd like. Also, if you haven't seen my other videos yet, be sure to check those out, and if you haven't done so, click the subscribe button. Also, I have an Instagram, I have a Tumblr, I have a Snapchat, and I have a couple other social media for me to follow. The links and username tags are in the description box or at the end of this video, which I will present to you in a couple seconds. I'm Cher, and it's been real.